From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Steve Norman reporting the Taliban has claimed responsibility for a suicide attack early today in the Afghan capital Kabul, killing at least 14. Happened on a minibus. Several others were wounded. Afghanistan's Interior Ministry says those killed were Nepalese security guards. Afghanistan's chief executive, Abdullah, has condemned the violence as an act of terror and intimidation. Estimated 30,000 civilians have fled the Iraqi city of Fallujah in the last few days, placing a strain on aid agencies. Karl Schembri is with the Norwegian Refugee Council in Baghdad, one of the agencies trying to help those displaced by the fighting.
Our staff are there on the ground trying to keep up with the needs, providing water, food, shelter, and basic items like mattresses. But we're running out of stocks, we're running out of funding. I myself have just been to the camps, and I've seen some of the most vulnerable people with disabilities, pregnant women, children, out there in the scorching heat.
Number of people who have managed to leave Fallujah since the month-long offensive began has topped 80,000. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi has declared the Iraqi victorious in Fallujah, but Iraqi fighters still face snipers there, bombers, and also trying to eliminate the IS militants who've been there for more than 2 years. Algerian security forces said they killed at least 12 armed Islamist militants south of the capital Sunday. Ambush was part of an ongoing operation against militants launched earlier this month, targeting fighters from both the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda. Campaigning ahead of Britain's referendum on whether to remain in or leave the European Union resumed on Sunday, 3 days after mourning prompted by the killing of a member of Parliament. Recent polling shows a tight race between the two sides ahead of Thursday's vote. Michael Gove, a British Conservative politician, has broken ranks with Prime Minister David Cameron and urged people to vote Leave to better handle the challenges facing the country.
My view is that those challenges will be easier to meet, those risks will be less if we vote to leave, because we will have control of the economic levers. We'll have control over money that we currently send to the European Union. We'll have control over our own laws, and as a result, we'll be able to deal with whatever the world throws at us.
Supporters of the Remain campaign have warned of the potential for economic dislocation by leaving the EU after 43 years. 1 week after the deadly mass shooting at a gay nightclub in the U.S. city of Orlando, Florida, the Senate is expected to vote on a series of proposals to block gun sales to terrorist suspects and expand screening of people buying firearms in the U.S. Despite universal condemnations of the attack and vows to find ways to prevent a repeat, it's not clear that any gun control measure can pass Congress, where majority Republicans say Islamic State-inspired domestic terrorism is to blame for the shooting rampage that killed 49 people, wounded more than 50 others. Meantime, U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch says that the Federal Bureau of Investigation will release partial transcripts today of 3 calls shooter Omar Mateen made to police as he killed the people at the nightclub.
Tomorrow, for example, we'll be releasing a partial transcript of the calls between the killer and the hostage negotiators so that people can, in fact, see the type of interaction that was had there. I say partial because we're not going to be, for example, broadcasting his pledges of allegiance. We're trying not to re-victimize those who went through that horror.
Investigators are still interviewing witnesses, seeking more information about Mateen and others who knew him, including members of the mosque he attended. Flooding and landslides in central Java have killed at least 35 people, while dozens more are missing. Rains triggered landslides, burying people in their homes. Meantime, China says Indonesia fired on one of its fishing boats, wounding at least one crew member in disputed fishing grounds in the 10th South China Sea. Jakarta said it fired warning shots at several Chinese vessels fishing illegally near the Natuna Islands, but insists no one was hit.
That's the latest world news from VOA.